I'm also recording this program so that then I will upload it to the YouTube, so it can be shared with the friends. It can be watched in future. So now I invite Hansa to start her introduction or speech.
I'm delighted to see Françoise here, and I'm really happy to hear the sound of my Lavanya in my ears. I can't see her yet because I think I kind of went back to the film this morning to look at it again. And I think what stays with me is that this 2 years later, it's possible to see it. Till now, I don't think I could really see it from a distance at all. And I think what I see is, of course, a part of my life, which is what happens when you make a film. And also, you can see the effect of so many collaborations. So I think what makes the film really is the work of these two doll makers and the way they have kept on, and also how they have opened up their work to us as filmmakers and to the larger world. So I think the generosity of Françoise and Milan is really what gives strength to the film. And after that, as I was watching, what I could see was all the collaborators trying to open ourselves out to something which is not so easily a part of us. So each of us has preferences, each of us has choices, each of us has ways of working. So across the film, I could sometimes see, sometimes we were doing it maybe a bit too easily, sometimes we were making it a bit too hard for each other, sometimes we were in a flow. But all those energies, I think, came together to make this film. And in a way, I think the film was always about two, like Françoise and Milan, who are so different and still similar. And I think in a strange way, that kind of reflected in the way the film itself was made by all of us, which was fascinating. So I think what I learned a lot from this film, from Françoise, from Milan, is how crucial working is to living and sharing, and how crucial making together and stretching yourself through making, whether it's a film, whether it's a piece of writing, whether it's doll making, just stretching yourself through making, I think, is what this film really taught me. I'd be very happy to hear from Françoise and Lavanya a little before, what the experience of the film, because we really intruded into Françoise's space. Something that she does in extreme privacy is something that we pointed our cameras to, and she let us be privy to her making a doll, which was a real privilege, genuinely. So yes, I don't know what was the experience of the film from François. I'd love to hear from Françoise. And then Lavanya, because yes, we went through sort of giddy closing almost 3 weeks of the fine edit. Yes, and it was a giddy time of making and closing this piece of work, and and sharpening it. So yes, so from Françoise and Lavanya, and then we'll leave it open to the house.
Yeah. Okay. First of all, thank you, Hansa, for what you have done, which was surely a struggle, a long time struggle with a lot of questions of draft to be improved and things like that. I think it was surely not an easy task for you. For me, in the beginning, I was very frightened because I thought, how can something that meant so much for 46 years that I am in India, just reduce it to few minutes? How will it be perceived? What is the real motivation behind that? So I was really quite frightened to to say something that meant so much to me in this period of time. Because also I thought it's good to let know what is the message behind the work I have done, which is so much related to people's day-to-day life, to their struggles, to their celebration of life, to the difficulties, to the injustices we see, how to put it into view. So that was my first response to that. But I think also seeing how people have appreciated the film, I think that a message is coming through, a message of resistance to injustice and a message of the dignity of life, which we all dream for. I think in brief, I think this is what I want to say right now.
Thank you. Lavanya?
Can you hear me? Hello? No? Hello?
Yeah,
Hello?
yeah.
Yeah? Okay. I remember you saying this while you were working on the film, that work is a way of understanding the world. And it was very healing for me working with you and working with the work of Francois and Millen, because it was people who are working with very humble material and sort of stitching them together in very ingenious ways. And that was my experience with Outside In also, that how we were playing with material. And the scope of playfulness, everybody talks about it in film and editing you, but it's very seldom one gets to do it, because there are so many other factors one is weighed down by. The experience of filmmaking many times becomes a little heavy, but this one was it was playful, a bit mad, and I think more importantly it was exploring just the sheer form, putting things together, and also a very profound philosophy that one was getting access to through Francois and Millen. Just their approach and how they were working just gave me a lot of hope and strength to figure out my own ways of working with things. So yeah, it was
Yeah.
yeah, it was very an empowering experience.
Yeah. So yes, that was, I think, a neat 15 minutes. Amudhan, shall we leave it open to the house? I don't want to, I think it would be good to hear from people and hear what they felt about the film. Yeah. Or any other questions that they might have.
So now can I invite our friends? We usually start with our own friends, then we can go to the new friends. So can I start with Mr. Vijayan?
Yeah, good morning. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. Yes. First of all, thanks to Marupakkam and Amudhan for continuously screening a variety of documentaries. I think this is 20th or 21st screening?
22nd.
Since April.
22nd.
Yeah. And this one, the Outside In, it was entirely different one from what was. Of course, each documentary which you had been screening is different in its own way. And hearty congrats to Hansa.
Thank you.
Then your name wrong, please. And
Vijayan?
it was amazing to watch. Feel that they're all in blood and sweat and real live things. And with and it gradually how the
I think your signal is weak, Mr. Vijayan. Can you just?
Maybe without the camera,
Yeah.
you get, yeah.
Mr. Vijayan, maybe you can switch off the camera.
And then gradually it gets filled with, and in the process, yeah.
Mr. Vijayan, maybe
Yeah,
you
yeah,
can switch off the camera and because we can't hear you.
Okay, okay. Am I audible now?
Yes, yes. You have to start from the beginning. We missed a lot.
Okay, okay, yeah, yeah. Okay. Yes. So it has been an amazing experience watching how, from scrap which has been lying around, discarded, and is gradually you create life out of such inanimate objects and materials. It's simply amazing. And it's not only that the dolls, it's all, it's not mere some pieces of cloth or such things. Gradually those objects or dolls gets filled with emotions, and it becomes vibrant. And in the process, each one of that, they convey invaluable lessons on how to recycle things. And it holds a mirror to many burning issues that plague our society. Like, for example, the rag pickers, nameless garbage pickers. And nobody bothers about the names, but they do all that. Faceless, as mentioned in the documentary, but their body language, it speaks very eloquently. And in this context, let me draw your attention. Maybe most of you must be aware in Kerala in 2018. And in a place, a lot of these handicraft clothes, handloom clothes were got destroyed. So out of that, they made Chekuti dolls. It's a unique from the spoiled.
I think, Mr. Vijayan, your signal is very poor. Maybe you can just try a different
clothes
location.
pieces they made. Pardon?
Mr.
Yeah.
Vijayan, we are not able to follow you. It's getting cut in between. Maybe you just find a different interesting better location, please.
Now,
if possible.
Maybe some connectivity problem, I think.
Yes.
How about now? Better?
Yes.
Okay. So what I was mentioning is that about a unique venture which happened in Kerala, because after the 2018 floods, there is a handloom weavers area near Ernakulam, Chendamangalam. So there, what happened, because the flood waters entered and a lot of clothes got spoiled. So out of that, they made a unique type of dolls, Chekuti dolls, it's called. And it became an instant hit. So that also I just could recollect as I was watching the documentary. Anyhow, Hansa and your team, it was a wonderful experience watching the documentary. Kudos to your entire team. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr.
And
Vijayan.
we shall look up the Chekutti dolls. It's really interesting.
Yeah.
Every time cleaning happens, it's like one part is Francois Milhen and the film, the other part is the dolls, and it's like new dolls are introduced to each other or to us. Yeah, so that's wonderful to hear about. Yes, I most certainly look it up. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Okay. So can I invite Ms. Roshini?
Hello. So thank you, Amudhan, for bringing us this wonderful film. And thank you to the makers and protagonists of the film also. As someone who actually makes puppets, this film really resonated with me.
Wow.
I don't quite have the same involvement that Milan has, for example, in having the puppet embody myself. It's more of a character that I am creating. but I found this process very fascinating, both for Francois and for Milan. What was also extremely fascinating to me was that you actually worked with Milan in order to animate these dolls. I assume that this is something she does not do normally. Is that the case?
It is the case. I think in the case of Milan's dolls, they kind of lie around on the mantelpiece, sort of asking you to pick them up and play with them. So I think that's what I tried to do. I've been trying to teach myself stop motion for a while. So I think what happens in a film is it's like a confluence of what you're trying to do. Yeah, and so I stayed with Milan for a few days. And because I would just keep pulling out things from nooks and crannies and perhaps trying to animate them. She was curious about what I was doing. I mean, yeah, because it's again, you're seeing someone else working with a different medium. And so one of my favorite animations is that elephant that raises its trunk with the strings showing, like her shirt. She
Yes.
did that animation. She did that animation.
Oh,
Meaning I was setting up something in the front to do. And then
Mhm.
she said, okay, so now, because she'd been seeing me the whole day, I'd be taking her dolls and then taking it, frame by frame, frame by frame. And it was interesting because it's not like I was editing. I mean, on the camera, I'd show her on fast, see, this is how it will be when it moves. So she said, oh, okay. And then she started pulling the strings. So, I mean, it was, I'd say, I think for me, stop motion is literally playing, actually. It's just that you're older and your arms are not as supple as children's arms. So it's like you feel that every little bit of that play. Yeah. So, yes. So the animation happened. I think because the dolls, they seem to sort of bark and jump and just lie around kind of a thing. So I was looking for a way to do that. In Francoise's case, because she kind of takes it to that gesture, it's almost like a mudra.
Yes.
So yes, so yeah. So that was shot, yeah, like that. Yeah.
What about the black and white
Drawings?
drawings? Yes.
Drawings. Yeah. So the drawings were in Milan. Milan she paints, she draws.
Okay.
She's in fact a trained artist who slowly moved towards simplifying some of her forms because she feels she wants to also have access and give access. So these were in her house, and I would find them fascinating. And there was a story behind them. I mean, she was in an accident, and her hand was in a plaster, and in that state, with her left hand, with one finger, she had tried to with a pen, like So this was her first left hand sort of.
Oh.
And so it was a series. So therefore, those little things turn around. I mean, I think for myself as a filmmaker, I was trying to see that sometimes you don't state the meaning, but you have some meaning which gives some life to the image. Like, what is it that you are doing to give life to the image? Yeah. So that's where it came from. And also, I had attended, there was a very beautiful show of Aboriginal Australian music that happened in Bangalore. And the way they worked with light and color and darkness, I mean, the next morning I was trying to sort of see if I could I just wanted to give a very slight introduction to Milan's other work, just the way that we just very lightly touch on the fact these are facets of their life. They're very big facets, like Francoise has worked as a nurse for so many years. So yeah, this was just an attempt to go there. And also because her storytelling, her drawings, and her dolls live in some kind of continuum. So yeah, it was an attempt to sort of lightly wander a bit. I don't think her storytelling is completely contained by her dolls. So also that. I think just a touch of that. What did you feel about the black and white drawings when you saw them?
I thought they were other representations of her imagination.
Sure.
Yeah,
Which
yeah,
is pretty
yeah,
much.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you brought that facet out too, because yeah, it was apparent that Francois has worked as a nurse.
Yes.
That I think came out sometime in the
Yes,
tech.
in the beginning. Yes.
But this was sort of something that I inferred. I just wanted to get it clarified.
Yes, no, you're right. I mean, I think I somehow I have tried to downsize it a bit, and I have not quite completely understood why. The fact that Milan also paints, also draws, yeah. I think the process of understanding the relation between that part of her imagination and this was something I just began to enter in this film, perhaps. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For Lavanya, so since there was sort of, a kind of accretion of all these various forms, puppeteering and all of that, how was the editing process different for this film?
Yeah, I'll just have to check. Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you.
Yes.
To begin with, Hansa had choreographed in sense of her visual planning was quite strong, with the animation, with the paintings, and there was definitely a flow of thought with each doll maker, where she was going. So I think, yeah, and a lot of things, I even we sort of did it for the first time. At least I did it for the first time with the film. I think putting we also put animated sounds which we just sort of recorded while we were editing to sort of give some life to the dolls, because that was very Hansa's own practice. But she was very clear that the dolls have a life, a character, a presence of their own. So that was a very strong guiding factor through the film. The dolls were not just visual props. They were taking the story and the thought forward. So with that, we just followed that thought, and we did everything. There was just, sometimes we would put sound, sometimes we would put music, sometimes, there was the stop motion animation happening. So yeah, I don't know if I answer.
Yes, you did. Who did the sound?
Ved, who's not here unfortunately today. Yes. Yeah.
I think I missed that in the credits.
Yes, Ved.
Now for Francois, I really admire your dolls. All of my puppets have faces and expressions, but it was truly a revelation to me to see how you could get expressions and emotions even without the faces, just by the attitudes and the various aspects of the dolls. If you don't mind my asking, where in India are you based, and what brought you to India?
Right now I am in Bangalore, but I have been working in the south in Kanyakumari district for many years. I was involved in the village and in preventive health education with my friends and companions from the same organization. And I have been so much inspired about people's life in the village, their closeness to nature. And that has been really my inspiration in making little dolls. Actually, I had made small dolls when I was very young, at the age 16, 17. I was bedridden for 1.5 years. I could not go to school, and it is at a time that my mother gave little material. And I started to make this and little character. And this, when I came to India, I brought some material left over, thinking I'd be happy to do something. And that's how it came about. And I started to represent day-to-day life, because it's so different culture from what I know in Belgium, well-to-do country and all that. That closeness to nature, seeing the women, the way they were beating the rice and squatting, everything became inspiration. So it was not only the beauty and closeness to nature and making the baskets or the mats with palm leaves, but slowly coming across also various forms of violence, child labor, violence against women, sexual abuse. So this was increasing, and everything was done at night from 9 till 2, 3:30 morning, because I was working in the daytime. And that was originally what was like a craft became really a passion. And every doll has a story for me, either from experience of things I have heard and read of my companions who are involved in. It is inspiration, and that's why it became a passion. And it became so vast that at a certain point, Asian women who had seen, they said, you should ask people to write stories and about each of them. Though they are called dolls, I never liked so much the term because should not be compared to Barbie dolls and all that, these commercial things. And so I have been asking people to write their own stories and inspiration, poets, theologians, grassroots workers. And that came out into publication. And this is the time when the dolls, where I got invitations with the release of the first publication to have exhibitions. And what is really striking me and what has convinced me to continue is that people said this is something that touches the heart. So it's a call to action, to transformation, to change my way of thinking, to breaking open barriers, and to be concerned about issues of poverty and injustice, and also celebration of life. It's also asking to respect the dignity of life, the dignity of nature. So there is a long story behind all that, and the dolls I have been making over 40 years. So it's not that I made that every day. But it has, I can say that I am so involved when I make a doll, a figure. I call them iconic dolls also, because there is a sacredness behind that. And my concentration, I'm fully involved in what I make and in the issues. So that's why nobody has seen me making, except I think when I was on holiday and my mother saw me making a doll, and Hansa, who was here, sawing me fully involved in doing that. But I have seen also street children who came to exhibition, how they were identifying themselves. And then I asked the children, why is it that the child has to pick from the garbage, take food from the garbage? How do we treat these children? How do we say they're thieves? And say, but ask questions. Why is it that there is poverty? Why is it that children have no food to eat? So they go back not with responses, but an invitation to think. Why is it and start? And so I think that the message that comes out is really raising questions. Some people have tears in the eyes just to look and go around when they saw these many issues exposed through the doors. Some have come completely with a great, great smile and things like that. Okay, I can say that all that is not just my work, it's a collaboration, a solidarity of many people, all those who have written poems. And when they come to exhibition, they also see the display of the poems. So the dolls are there, but it's also what so many people are saying, their dreams for a more just and humane society. That is what comes through. In few words, a long story.
Thank you so much for being a real inspiration to us. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Roshni. Thank you, Francois, for generously explaining the experiences in detail. So, can I invite Vijay Shanti? Vijay Shanti from Bangalore, lecturer and researcher.
Hi, sir. Good morning.
Yes.
Good morning, Hansa. Good morning, Francois.
Good
It's
morning,
nice to,
Gigi.
yeah. Yeah, I really don't know. It was really nice to see Francois on screen. Um, so things that I enjoyed about the film. Um, one, yeah, I've observed Francois in real life and the way she, does dolls and the way she presents it. She's come to our college when we were students and very generously interacted with us. I think what was really nice in the film is that her authentic self was so beautifully portrayed. The way she handles, she's very dexterous. Like her fingers move very, I think the movements, the camera shots when it was taking a close up of her fingers, I was imagining and remembering how she actually works. I think those shots were really, really interesting. And Francois as an artist for me has not just been this yeah, she looks at creativity differently according to me, and there's no one meaning for creativity. She, like, I think she's explained so well all of these things. The film also, I think, tried to capture uh, you know diverse faces of her own self. That is, she is a storyteller. She reads poems, and then she does work, and very even the way she keeps her room is exactly the way she would, keep her dolls, very neatly wrapped. In that sense, they are not just objects; they have life, and um, I think that's really important. And she's also a person with, you know, um, a lot of optimism in that sense. She does critique, and also a person who's a believer of thoughts. And another artist, my question to the director is, how did you come down to these two artists? I'm sure you would have sort of had a list, or I don't know if there was a list. I'm curious to know how, these two people happened. One second part of the question is, when documentary films are made on people, I think that was also what Francois was referring to. I was anxious of how would a film be able to capture this entire journey, right? What are the challenges when you make a film on individuals, which sort of, there is a tendency to fetishize, but this film has not tried to do that. It's sort of balancing and trying to give a, if I may use a word, realistic approach to artists, and artists in flesh and blood, and not somebody who are unreachable in that sense, right? So how was it for you to, do that? I think something that I find in Amudhan sir's film, shit, I always go back to that, because old party in that film is also in flesh and blood. It is. So yeah, those are the two questions to the director. Then I'll ask one question to Francois. Yeah.
Um, okay, I came up across these artists. I make dolls. I don't know why I make them.
Hmm.
I semi know why I make them. And I wanted to make a film. So and a year and a half before, I shifted to Bangalore from Bombay 8 years ago now, and I remember seeing Francois's Chipko doll in the newspapers, and I thought it was so beautiful and moving that I just went out of curiosity looking for who's this person, what are her other dolls. I wish I could see them live. I had no thought of a film then. And then I discovered that, good Lord, she lives in Bangalore, and that there is a number you can call on. So that was like my celebrity excitement moment, I think. I called Francoise, yeah, truly. I went and saw her dolls also. It was wonderful. There was another friend. So once people know that you are interested in dolls and doll making, um, someone tells you and all. And so I went and saw. I think perhaps the reason why the film doesn't, I'm glad, thanks for saying it, fetishize is one, I think brevity helped. I was making a film for after a long time, so I tried to make a shorter film. I also like compressing, so I think that. But also because I think I myself was, and I got to know Milan through another friend, and I was curious. And in a way, when I set out to make the film, the material itself was a puzzle for me. Like I wanted to understand what was I seeing in these two. And actually, the process of making the film was the understanding of that. Like, was I seeing similarity, dissimilarity? Why did I want to put them both in the same film, apart from the fact that they were doll makers? What was attracting me to the difference between them? And I think because perhaps our attention was there, and my personal attention was also on, I wanted to know from these, I'll call them senior artists also, somewhat little older women, which it was a kind of a resource, like more like a life resource. I wanted to hear from them what uh, what making was bringing to their lives, because I wanted to understand for myself. I was getting back to making a film after a long time, the relationship with making. So I think perhaps because of that, I don't really see this as a film about two people as much as I see it as a film about what making can bring to your lives. So I think that Arun Kartik, who's not here, I think he shot Francois wonderfully. I think he worked. I think we had decided yeah, I mean, they were making with their hands. I was curious to know what making with their hands felt like. So the image making itself looks a lot at the hands. Yeah, the hands and the scale. Like you make something which is this big and I'm this big. Yeah, so these were deflections, but not really deflections, because they were taking us to the heart of the film. And I think the heart of the film, which we only discovered as we went along, was somewhere about what making was doing, the space it was making for sharing. So I think because of that, because of concentrating on that and not so much on even life histories, or though I was interested in all that, but given that it was meant to be a shorter film, I think the choice of where we were taking the film perhaps helped us in not letting it, making it hagiographic or something like that.
Yeah, thank you. I think in this, when you were talking about two artists, one more thing that I want to share is that more often than not, certain creations are valued because it also comes from certain gender of sorts. But when women do certain things, and when it falls under the realm of what is so-called domestic within quotes, and dolls more often than not, also is considered for a very long time. And when it gains a newer meaning, when they sort of add, and it also breaks away at times from domestic, and it need not have to at times, because within domestic it could gain certain kind of meanings, and that's also equally important. I think that was really interesting in both the artists. Just a question to Francois. Francois, have you met Millen, the other artist? So when you saw her on screen, what did you feel? And are there any questions that you would like to ask her? I think she's not here, but
No,
I'm
she's
curious
not
to
here.
see what two artists would, feel and like to ask. Yeah.
I have seen Milen once she came here.
Huh.
I did not have so much opportunity to know her deeper and to know her motivation and what she thinks, but I think that her creativity and her imagination lays in her material, the way she uses the material, waste material which are thrown out, and I think we also learn something from that. I think all her creativity comes into that, and that's how she says even what she makes becomes part of her, because she puts in her imagination, her emotions, something like that, no? And then also with that she also boosts the imagination of children, so she reaches out to children, that out of waste they can really create something that is meaningful for them. It reminds me children from the street, or poor children in the village who do not have any toys, ready-made toys, but their imagination is so great. They take stones, they take coconut shell, they sticks, whatever, and they create their own games. So behind that, there is really a solidarity, of children coming together, compared to what we see today, where children are so enslaved by media, by TV, by whatever. No, it's not to say this is bad. It's not that, but how the imagination is being crushed because the children swallow so much of visual pictures without having the possibility to reflect on their own. And I think in that way, there is a great lesson of what Milen is doing with children, no? Boosting their own creativity. That's what I perceive.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Shanti. Can I invite Smriti? Smriti? Smriti is one of our regular audience members. Hello, Smriti.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just had to go out of the room for half a minute, and that's when you. Hi,
yes,
hi.
I caught you.
I can't see you. But yes,
Sorry. Done. Find the video icon. It sort of vanished. So I'll put it on in a bit when when I'm tapping the screen. I'm not finding it. Sorry.
Sure.
Okay. Lovely to see your film, Hansa, and congratulations to everybody who was part of it. It's wonderful to hear Francois here and see her and hear her speak. I was very moved by the film. I have been enjoying listening to what all the other participants in this discussion have been saying, because I'm gaining a lot of insights into the film, and many key words have come up that for me, um, bring together my thoughts about the film: collaboration, making, and I think it must have been extremely challenging to make a film like this, from in terms of how to visualize it. I loved the animation, and I thought it was it became in a very non self-conscious and unpretentious way, a very profound film actually, and not just because the artists and the dolls help us to reflect on certain social divides and concerns, but also just in terms of what you referred to, Hansa, as life resource and lessons. All of that coming together in a film with a deceptive sort of simplicity was very lovely. I really enjoyed the cat, and I wanted to ask you how you did the book pages lifting and turning in the breeze.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Smriti. That's very generous, and I'm very happy. But it was also, I think, like I said, the strength of the work, I think, genuinely comes from the work of these two doll makers and their insistence on carrying on regard. So you start feeling like the lack is in the
Hansa, the signal is little poor. Can you just switch off the video? Hansa?
Better?
You're breaking.
Now?
Yes. Okay. Go ahead. You're breaking.
Oh dear. Sister bad. Will I try to exit and come in again?
No, it's okay. Without video. Try
without video. I've put off the video.
Okay,
I have
okay.
put off the video.
Now we can hear. Hear.
Okay. So I'm saying that I think that what you are seeing as the depth in the film is really, I think, coming from the depth that belongs to Francois and Milan's work, most certainly. So that when you see it, you feel that why if people are not able to see it, then there's something lacking in our eye, like I said. But the other thing is also that I think I was astounded by their ability to persist and to go. I mean, I could almost remember talking to Arun. There's no say, people will come and just sometimes shrug and sometimes be moved. And we have to fortify ourselves. These doll makers are fortified, they have chosen to practice across the years. So I think, I think from that fortitude and from that their own understanding that their practice means something, I learned a lot. And I think perhaps that that really came into the film. Something that I'm on answering, Smriti, did you ask anything else? I think I got confused.
Yes, Yeah, thanks, Hansa. No, I was asking about the how you did the book. How was that
The
done?
book,
I
the book.
couldn't
Oh yeah,
figure
yeah,
it.
the book. Yeah, the book I did. Actually, there's another young camera person, Vinay Godgeri, who's not here. So this Lavanya, Vinay, and I shot this not very far from my house. So the thing is that I think, but also that I knew that there were these books that Francoise had. There was so much work done, and in that tiny film, I wanted to make a space to suggest that there are volumes of work. So well, nothing. We went out early in the morning, as Lavanya would tell us. So we shot a few two little child, the page from the book, which is hanging among the grass and in that wet tree. We went trying to shoot that. We had found some very lovely grass and so on, but it rained the previous day and that whole grass was destroyed. I mean, as happens in shoots. And so then we went the next day again looking for places to shoot and what and how to shoot. Some time, and I think I just knew that I wanted to animate the book, but I didn't know quite how and why. And we were just sitting by the edge of a field, and then we decided to try it. How it's done, it's fairly simple. God knows, we must have put a little pebble or something. So 3 little objects, smaller, larger, largest. So the page is held at this position when it's highest, then it's at medium height, and then it's flat. Just 3 objects of different sizes helped us to do that, and we just kept turning the pages and the clouds kept moving, and it was all morning, and then we went and had tea across this little lane out there. Yeah, that's how it was done. Yeah.
Okay, lovely. Actually, I really enjoyed in the film the placing of I'm so sorry, somebody's continuously trying to call me. Okay, no, thank you, Hansa.
Out.
Thank you. Thank you, Smriti. Thank you, Hansa.
Yeah.
Can I invite Paramita?
Yeah.
Paramita.
Yes. Sorry, I'm
Parumita, your audio is off.
now. Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a kind of half comment and half question, loose question. I was thinking this morning about your film and how it sort of works with, you have one artist who works with reality or the material of reality, let's say, and another artist who works with the material of dream, Miller. And at the same time, the material that they work with is, of course, all taken from actuality. And I was thinking about documentary filmmaking as a parallel, but also that you bring this dream and reality into one place, which seems to be most of art, actually. That art is a place where we join dream and reality, and many meanings of dream of the future, dreams of the past, all of them kind of swirling inside us. And that, even our idea of realism is in the end some kind of a dream. So the way that art very effort without like when I say it in words, it obviously becomes a little overstated. But art without overstating these truths about life just presents it to us and allows us to enter also as we are and maybe come out as something else that we can be, right? So there's something magical, spiritual, and very political about the very nature of art. And I was wondering if you could reflect on, because I think I see your film also doing that in a way, bringing dream and reality together, both in the ways that you are making the film, both in the choices and both in the conversations you're having, but also very largely that because you're making a documentary in a documentary culture which very strongly has only one definition of politics, and so building on the comment by another audience member earlier, that gender makes everything, denotes things as domestic. It doesn't matter where you're doing it, what you're talking about. But I also think that certain ways of doing, give a gender to work and then say it's domestic, it's not really political. And I felt like your film was playing with all of these things in a non-overstated manner. And I was wondering if you could just reflect on this a little bit.
If I could?
Just reflect on this a little bit in public.
Sure.
Public reflection.
Let me try. Yes, I mean, yes, absolutely. That I think I was also searching for my politics. And I think I have probably also searched for my politics in a world that I'm more familiar with, or the world I'm more attracted to, which is, yes, also the world of making. I've also always been fascinated by the idea, when I said that I like dressing, I've always been fascinated by stories where the whole world, or he opened his mouth and you could see the 3 words, or like Alice in Wonderland, which is not written by a woman. But I love this Czech filmmaker who's a stop motion animator, Jan Schwankmeyers, telling the I have never, I mean, there was a time when because I chose domestics, I never thought of them as domestic subjects. I thought I was making films about the world that I was familiar with, or the world that I felt curious about. I wanted to know the unfamiliar parts of those worlds, or I wanted to look closer. And I remember I was briefly called someone who worked in the kitchen genre. I mean, honestly, kitchen's a great place. It has knives, it has, it has blood, it has more murk on a daily basis than the one murder that you will film down a road will have. Yeah. So I think I feel very deeply and very strongly that there is a lack of imagination in that the world of ideas it doesn't require a buccaneer only. I mean, I love buccaneers to sort of tell a story. So yeah, I also think that art is about connecting and not separating. I think that so I think I think I've known chase sequences to be filmed around balls rolling down. So I feel that these are methods, rhythms. They are not absolutes. I think the mistake we make in assigning genre in art is that we mistake the playfulness of the film medium for life itself. But actually, film, like every other medium, is trying to sing and trying to find rhymes and trying to play and trying to gather. And I mean, Françoise's dolls are real, but look at what she does. Like I could never get over, and I don't think I've managed to do a very good representation of that little child whom François made, who is in a whom she encounters briefly and is really not able to help. And is this a compassion? You see, so categories are just conveniences, and it's a loss to ourselves to forget, history and geography separately only because it makes easier for teachers to organize the classes. It's not that something that has history doesn't have geography in it. So yeah, I think it's a sort of foolish mistake, but it's been carrying on for 1,000 years. But also, there are so many people who know that it's not so, and who are practicing and living their lives knowing it's not so. So I think perhaps filmmakers need to get the confidence from them. Means from people who work, I think, even in traditional arts and traditional crafts. And yes, there is so many difficulties of caste, and there's also so much understanding of art, because they were forced in a cast position to play with very little material. And then they created, I mean, their comprehension of what you can do with a little, yes, while not to valorize the thing that you have and to humbly look at it and try and integrate it in some of what we make in a more privileged place as artists. It's only a privilege of class, caste, or something as artists. It's not really a privilege of artistry. We don't have it in some often as much. So I think, yeah, I think that humility would help art. Ouch, that's a lot said. Yeah, thank you.
That's beautiful. Thanks a lot. I like so many things that you said that I wish I had taken notes, but I was too busy listening. But it also made me realize that in some senses, what you're also saying is film is a very young form. It's still learning itself, you know, and it is only actually maybe caste and class privilege that allows filmmakers to imagine that they know more about art than people who have been practicing some kind of making for years and years and years.
Our
And
voice is breaking. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Paramita. Thank you. Can I invite Lipika Singh? Lipika Singh.
Hi. Can you hear me, Amudhan?
Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
I'm so happy to be here. I can't tell you. I mean, so happy to listen to the filmmakers, makers, doll makers, artists, you know, who are involved in the film. I have a very different story to share because, you know, I'm a filmmaker and I work from Odisha in India. And I always feel that, you know, film is also some kind of a living being. It has its own life and, you know, it also lives and it also has its extensions and etc. And uh, 6 months back, I was very unwell. I had a facial paralysis attack on my right side of the face, and there was lockdown. And as a person, I'm very active and I do a lot of things. And during that time, I was completely, you know, locked in a room and I didn't know what to do. I was so nervous about my health. I could not speak. I could not, I mean, move my eye. So at that point, I was a bit active on Instagram and I saw that Hansa was conducting a dog making workshop. And 6 months back, maybe last year, I came across the trailer of the film. And I was so intrigued by the trailer, as if, you know, it introduced me to a different world altogether. And the world which has everything: stories, lives, politics, you know, love, everything. And the dolls look so compassionate, first of all. You know, they were so, they were not looking like conventional, beautiful dolls, but they were very compassionate. And something happened, and I was so attracted by that. And I attended Hansa's doll making workshop, and I think I have been the constant. And every Sunday, it's been 6 months, without mistake, I have been making like dolls. And just recently, we stopped making, we made it in house a bit. But now, within these 6 months, I have so many dolls around me. You know, a part of me, one doll is just on my fridge, some inside the drawer, inside my cabinet, inside on my table. And just 2 days back, I collected all the dolls and I said, okay, you have lived your lives. It's like 6 months now. All of you spend time with each other, and I'll keep you in one room. So I just made one box and kept everything together. You spend some time together. So, you know, in a way. And I have my partner with me, and he was not, he doesn't make dolls, you know. So, but he looks at me very carefully. I make dolls and keep a few dolls on his table. He writes, and he also has, you know, bonded with the dolls. he also has started making new stories, and he has also seen me, recovering from my paralysis, and how every day or every week, the way I was recovering, and it would reflect on the dolls. Um, and I'm so happy and proud to have, you know, uh, even I feel that my dolls are some kind of an extension of the film, and they are also an extension of myself, and then uh, they represent my past and my being, my present, and they also make me feel confident about my future, the things that I don't know
Wow.
about myself,
Wow.
but the things that I can see in them, while making. I remember, sorry if I'm like taking a lot of time, but it is so personal to me. I remember, uh, I think the second doll that I made during the workshop, I wrote a long mail to Hansa saying how, stitching a very transparent layer to the doll, I felt that I was stitching my skin, and I was so careful about it. I was so careful about it that, okay, I'm using my skin, stitching my skin into this doll. And I just realized we are so, as human beings, we are so careful about ourselves. We just protect ourselves, or every it's different to everyone, and it was like that to me at that point in time. So um that point when I started making dolls, and I thought that, I have always used this film material in a very different way. You take a short audio video and stitch it together to make a film. I mean, at this time when I'm doing this, making this doll, I'm stitching personal emotions physically, stitching my memories, my fears, my confusions. Everything is so physical in my hands and stories, and I'm stitching it, pasting it, uh, giving it a life. Each time I'm making a doll, I'm giving it a life to the doll. So it was a very, very personal and very, very powerful, I mean, quite strengthening a process for me. And during that time, Hansa and me came across a very, I don't know whether Hansa had come across it earlier or not, but I came across a very political thing around doll making, because we had very less men making dolls during the workshop. And whenever I would ask a male friend to come and just to, reflect and just make something, they would always say they would always have some problems around the name doll, because it's so connected to a woman or a girl making dolls or playing it. It symbolizes some sort of a weakness or something. I do not connect to that, but yeah, people do connect to that. So yeah, that's the entire story around me. And I do not have much question because I'm quite overwhelmed. um, I saw the film twice or thrice. When I saw the film when I didn't make dolls, I saw it completely differently. The entire the way I understood the film was different. But after 6 months, when I was involved in doll making, when I had already started feeling the material, I saw the film in a very, very different light. And I also messaged Hansa saying that I do not have any questions, but I would maybe ask Hansa that, mm, do you remember your first doll, or when exactly, you just picked up something and started doing something
Yeah.
and you thought, okay, it was a doll, and that moment that you remember?
I wanted to make a fiction film and I didn't want to enter the industry. So I thought, doesn't matter. I'll make dolls and I'll just make the story inside the house. Forget it. So that's where I started, I suspect. Because I think I had I was kind of attached to these creatures in my childhood. So it was like, okay, it's like pulling out your resources, I think, from what else could you do? Okay, I can't do it this way. So now what else can I make with? I think it was that. And of course, I only did the doll making workshop so more people could see my film.
Oh, really?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Not at all.
Not at all. But yeah. No, but yeah, that's how I started making dolls.
But any doll, Hansa, that you like, I have one or two dolls which are extremely close to me.
Sure.
I mean, even you know that during the workshop, I had made a doll and dismantled that doll and again made a different doll out of it. But you told me that you can't even think of it, dismantling a doll. So
sure.
there must be a few dolls that you're very connected to.
I feel connected with the things I make, and I think it's a way of understanding that I feel connected to the things I make. And it's yeah, like you said, a film is also a being. It has a spirit and a body, and so I think to try and I mean, when I was seeing this film again today, I was actually seeing it like that, like, oh, this is my life. This was a section. I mean, it's like you open a photo album and so much comes back with that material. So I feel very connected to my dolls. I know they've been sometimes about my body, sometimes about my feeling deprived or something. I mean, I think projection in psychology is part of all storytelling, and it's a pity. I mean, it's good to use it as a resource, like to understand that we have resources that can help us. I think Agents of Ishq, when they did a workshop lately on doll making, and they what was it called? Paramita, it was called. I mean, it was like you give yourself help. You give yourself help. I mean,
mental health.
Yeah, mental health.
Mental health, yeah.
Mental health. So you help yourself process. And I think I felt that in Françoise's doll about that little girl, that I felt Françoise is processing. I mean, she's kind of making a gift which is more sort of, it has color, it has beauty, it has her tenderness towards a difficult thing that she encountered. So I think making is processing. I mean, there was a time when I used to think that I'd make a film between dolls and gods, because really gods are dolls that we make. So masks are dolls that we make. It's just that the word doll casts a certain, and therefore I feel like saying, I'll say doll. Yeah. So, I mean, just as an aside, it's like those of us who hung around for 2 times in the doll making workshop, we carried on making and we called ourselves the 2-timing doll makers. I mean, yes, we're 2-timing. So words also need some playing and, coaxing out. And one shouldn't get frightened of words, I think, like dolls. And I mean, I'm saying for those who feel inhibited or they feel it will belong to a thing, you change the meaning. I think that's a confidence. Yeah. Yes. But that was beautiful, Deepika. Thank you. Yes, it's been a great time together. Yes.
Yeah, we did.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Deepika. Thank you, Deepika. The film can open up so many things. Dolls can also open up so many things.
Like all creative, yeah. But this is material creativity, I think. So yeah, it creates one kind of. Yeah.
And I also feel that, it's also the entire filmmaking and this discussion also, and the workshop and the entire interaction and connection, somehow it is also empowering the concept around dolls, the orthodox concept that we have.
Yeah.
Then like when I made the film around witches, I feel that the witch hunting cases, and the name of the film is some stories around witches, I felt that I always feel that we should evolve as a society. We should think about this name, the witch. But again, I'm thinking and rethinking on it, about my idea around it, everything. And when we say doll, I think the film and we and the discussion, everything is empowering it. I mean, it's making it stronger and stronger, the existence of it.
I mean, I think these are political choices. And I think it's in connected to what Paramita is also talking about. And we sometimes feel shy of stating how strongly we are doing things politically. that we exist in the world, we belong in the world, and we assert what we do, and it's a space. I mean, people may choose to come into that space or not, but it's a space. It's a living space. It's an invitation. It's, and meanwhile, work carries on. I think that's what it is.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I invite Svetal was texting something. Svetal, you can. Svetal. Hello, Svetal. Can
yeah, sorry, I wasn't prepared in that sense. Okay, no, I think I'm just enjoying the discussion, and I think two things that I wanted to ask. One was probably asked by Paramita in a very enhanced way, so it was nice. And the other thing that Hansa spoke about, and I saw it getting deeper, into her creative process, and which was a nice insight for me. I think what I felt was empowering when you were speaking about is, for the word, you said fortify, and I think that resonates with me, where you kind of bring that conviction there. The other thing which I think I really connected to was, this wanting to do something with your hands. And filmmaking is probably, while it's also very physical, is a very mental space. It's extremely cerebral. And I think when you said that, don't let your words, don't rely too much on words or something like that, when you were talking to Lipika, that don't let your words kind of come in the way of your making. I think that is a very interesting insight, again, to the creative process, where, and sometimes words can be very daunting. And I see that in your film also, there are very few words, and you haven't tried to bring some kind of a conclusion or even your insight. You have not tried to, explain it. You just let your visuals do and left it for the viewers. And I think that was very interesting. And I've actually, asked in the last, I think 8 to 9 hours, I've forwarded the film to so many people, like, watch.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you for making.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes.
Oh, very nice. Can I invite Mr. Killy? Killy.
Hi.
Yes, Killy. Yeah.
Good afternoon to all. Thank you very much for this wonderful film that talks about puppetry. Well, first of all, what I find very significant in this film is it actually has deviated from the trajectory of classical puppetry, which only talks about the themes of mythology, religion, and other things. But this film has talked about the common man, village, life, and their emotions. So, because you generally see, like during even Shivaratri, you have Golu, which is doll making, dolls are kept, but those are all actually very much linked to the religion or mythology or other aspects. And the other thing is like, I think that by itself is a political stance that you have taken by deviating from that traditional trajectory. Even in the shadow puppetry in Tamil Nadu or in other areas in South India, predominantly is based on either Ramayana or Mahabharata or something else of the folk ballad, which is more related to the religion mythology. I find in that way your film is very significant, which talks about the common man and their emotions. I think the very beginning of the film, it talks about migration, which is a very, very modern phenomenon. But I think even the puppeteers were migrators from various parts of India to South India. Predominantly, the modern puppeteers in Tamil Nadu are basically from Maharashtra, who settled in Tamil Nadu during the Sarfoji ruler of Tanjavur. So you have a long tradition of puppetry in Tamil Nadu. I heard France was saying that she's also being part in Kanyakumari district. Have you ever had a chance to meet Muthuchandran Rao, who is considered to be the traditional puppetry who does Tol Pavai Kuthu, who comes from a very longer tradition, I think maybe the 15th generation in Tamil Nadu on puppetry. I don't know. I mean, I'm just curious about it but that's shadow puppetry. But I find even in this film, a performance was done by the community rather than by the artist. It's only the doll that is being made, but the performance over the doll is made by the community. That is what I find it even more significant with this film. The faceless and the the dolls with face it also brings another aspect of various dimensions of social life. I find the picturization and the flow of the film done in a very smoother manner. It was very pleasant to, in fact, watch the film. As somebody earlier said, that there wasn't any kind of enforcement of ideas within the film, but it was kept open. The aesthetics of the film was fantastic. I really appreciate the film. Thank you very much for the film. In fact, I watched twice, went back, went forth. I didn't watch twice in the sense completely. I went back and I went forth, and then I kind of watched with different images to get a kind of conceptual clarity. Thank you so much for the film. I expected it much a longer film. When I saw initially it was 25, I said, okay, let me watch it again and again. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. If there are any questions, I'll come back to you. Keep the space open. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kili. Can I invite Sarika?
Hello everyone.
Yes.
Hi, I'm very new to this. I'm neither anything part of any films or anything. I'm just a normal audience, and I love watching short films. And somehow came across this. Hi Hansa, thanks for making this film. Hi Francois. Hello everyone. So the kind of thing that really resonated with me was regarding the dolls and how it actually went back to the community. You know, when she said that if you have to suffer for food, something is wrong with the society. I've always been finding answers for a lot of things like this. So we can't probably fix what's going on outside, but at least we can make ourselves feel better with how she's made the dolls and made them look more how to say, a part of us. So the imagination and when she connected back with the community, it was really good. Me too watched it about twice. I went back and forth and looking at the dialogues and the way she told what she felt. As for Milan's, I kind of connected with it because we used to make this paper crafts back at home when we were young with recycled stuffs, like even the roti bag and all that, those plastics that we're going to throw away, we don't throw it away, we used to make with it. And when Milan connected it with how certain ways that we're hiding ourselves away from, when you start making things from them, it kind of integrates our part with it. That really resonated a lot with me. It was more about ourselves, and that thought was really extraordinary. I never thought like can think that way. So yeah, thank you so much. It was wonderful. Yeah, that's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. And thank you for watching it again. That really feels so wonderful. It's difficult to say it, but it feels great.
Yeah, it's good. I even forwarded to a few of my friends who comes from that kind of a background and things. So they liked it. They really loved it.
I also wanted to say that this film was made for PSBT, so it was going to be shown on television. And in a way, I think that helped the film, because I think it simplified me. I think I also had some arty notions of doing a film without having much talking and all, but I think my camera person really helped me and pushed me, and I took better interviews, I think, as a result. So I think even I think wanting to communicate helped this film. And at the same time trusting that you can go further and further and it will communicate. So I think making it for a public, knowing that it was going to be beamed, whether or not I mean, as an idea, even that, you know, this is not going to be just seen, but you're making something for a larger world to see, really helped me. Yeah, helped the film.
Thank you.
Thank you. Can I invite Niji Akani? Niji?
Niji is a very old friend. It's great to see you, Niji. Yeah. Niji, your audio is off. Yeah.
Okay, should be on now.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. It is morning in Nigeria. I'm sure it's afternoon for you guys there. It's very good to see you again, too, Hansa. Thank you very much. And thank you for inviting me here. I was actually sending you a private message that I have to leave now.
Okay. Thank you for coming then. Yeah.
But quickly, I just want to appreciate the session itself. I've learned so much from here. It's been very stimulating for me. I've seen this film, you know, quite a long time ago, almost immediately you made it.
Yeah.
But being invited to this session, I have to see it again. So I told myself, look, okay, now I have to look at it critically now, you know. The first time I was just looking at it for enjoyment. And when I look at it again, it's still the same, you know, it's still enjoyable. There's nothing critical about it. There's nothing filmy about it. And that's part of your work that I enjoy most. Is the looseness, you know, the so-called, you want to call it playfulness, you know. It is not as if you are forming art. It's not as if you are making a film. It is like a conversation, you know, with a friend. You seem to take your audience as, you know, a very intimate gathering of people that you are talking to, you know, and that comes across very clearly. So I saw that in the first watching of it. In the second one, which I thought was going to be critical, you know, still the same thing. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
And it's very nice also to see Francois, you know, in flesh, as it were. I enjoyed mostly her artistry.
Yeah.
Involvement, as it were, in her work, and that showed very clearly in the film, you know. And so it's very nice to hear her say one sentence that I've heard her say here is that I'm very much involved in every doll that I make. You know, that comes across. I mean, you don't. I didn't need to be told that. The somebody mentioned it too. The way her hands move, you know, around those dolls. It is not labor. It is not labor. It is like, how do you call it? You're placing children, you know, much loved objects, you know, you're placing them in a certain way and that you're watching them grow. I see her sometimes she steps back to look at what she's creating and then she touches them again. That's very nice. One thing that I'm going away from here is what has come across in this session to me is the coming together of interests and techniques for both the artist and the filmmaker.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Hansa says that, you know, that this film is part of a search for her politics. You know, and Francois also says that she was searching for how social and political situations both influence and also comment on the tableaus that she was trying to present in her creations. So that's very significant for me, you know. Both of you also, there's this looseness, as it were, with form, you know. Hansa explained one session that she did, was it stop-gap animation or stop motion animation? With pebbles and all that, you know, which wasn't planned. It wasn't scripted. It wasn't even a thought that you're going to make that. You did that on the cuff for the moment. And so that's very, very significant for me. And it comes across in the film that Parameter says something about the understatement of good art, you know. So this for me, both the material featured, the technique of the artist that is being featured, as well as the form that is presenting it to us, it is very understated. It is not intrusive. And that also comes across in Francois' work, you know. It is very political, but it's not in your face politics, you know. It's presenting, okay, these are situations of a particular cultural milieu. So what are the causes of these situations? Why are these situations existing? She's asking questions. She's not preferring answers. She's not even prodding you to provide answers. She's just presenting what she sees, you know. And that's, for me, it's truly artistic. It is not intrusive artistic. It is not propaganda. It is not. There's not, you know, what they call rabble rousing or anything. So I love that very, very much in it. The last thing also is when I say about coming together of techniques and interest, is the deep involvement of both Francois and Hansa. It's unfortunate that the other artist is not here for us to interact with. It would be very lovely to hear her own perspectives as well, you know. But I think this is a very lovely collaboration, as it were, you know, because the film was not made by Hansa. The film was made both by the artist as well as Hansa and the other collaborators. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think I've covered everybody. So before we can actually now I invite others who have already spoken to respond to whatever we have spoken in between, to respond to the responses. If anybody has any comments, Francois, do you want to come in?
Yeah, I think I was very much touched by what Lipika was telling. The dolls became part of her. I think I have many times said, the dolls, I am part of them and they are part of me, because I was so connected with what I was representing, and I understand how emotionally she can be one with what she has created. And I think people who have viewed the dolls, many of them have also identified themselves with the dolls. So without even reading the poems that are on display, but just feeling with the heart. Some had tears in the eyes because I felt so connected.
I think there's some problem with Francois' connection. Okay, till she gets back. Anybody else has to respond to the comments? Jayashanti, you have comments?
No, sir, no comments. But it was really, nice to get different perspective, especially Killi sir's observation of puppetry and being connected to, certain kind of, epics which are deeply rooted in Brahminical ideas and things like that. I think that was, I don't know, in some ways, it really caught my attention to observe dolls and puppetries in a different sort. Thank you, Killi sir, for that, observation. It was really helpful for me too.
Welcome.
Thank you. Mr. Vijayan, you wanted to say something? Sorry, I forgot.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. In fact, Mr. Kelly raised or made the observations which I wanted to make regarding the traditional puppetry and the Puranic characters depicted therein, and contrast it with the dolls which are being made in flesh and blood.
Sorry, there was electricity cut.
Okay.
That's why I disappeared suddenly.
Okay.
the all age group. Yeah. So congrats to Hansa and the wonderful doll makers also, Milan and Frank Show. And thank you, Marupakkam, once again. Thank you.
Thank you. Francois, you can continue. Right? Cut. You can continue.
Yeah, I was saying that I did not know how to call them. I did not like to call the work I did dolls, because we were talking about that. Because I thought so much dolls maybe has become so much a commercial thing, and it may mean so different things to different people. I have been asking to artists this one, that one, how to call them, and finally one artist convinced me, no, doll is good, and he explained the whole history, the history of the doll, ancient, what it meant. And also how dolls, if it is understood, how it awakens emotion of compassion, of a child having, even a boy or a girl, having a doll and feeding it, how it creates compassions, feelings of love and so on. He said, no, it's very important. And so actually it's also a critique against all these Barbie dolls which are all white, always white. Do we ever see a beautiful Indian doll, dark colored, beautiful Indian doll? I think it's always a kind of Western dolls, and then you start to dream. So much of problems come with the color. No, everything has to be white instead of appreciating the beauty of the various colors. So finally, I accepted no, and they're speaking dolls, iconic dolls. And I think that somewhat each doll is a political statement, but it's also a spiritual statement. I feel because it has a resistance to all what destroys life. And it has a message of love and compassion, of which many times we don't speak anymore. And nobody can steal that seed of love and compassion and creativity and imagination that is to come into bursting into flame and into fire and dynamism to make our society more humane. That is, in brief, what I want to say. Yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Francois. So before we conclude, if anybody has any comments, final comments, Paramita, do you want to come in? Any final comments?
No, I'm good. It was just great to listen to
Once more, I thank Hansa.
Thank you, Francois.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay. You and the team, no, Aruna and Linu, who have worked so hard, and all those who were behind to make it a nice film. And I think I am very happy to hear the way people and friends here have been appreciating the work you did. It's good to hear also.
Thank you, Ms. Francois.
Sorry. I think this film has brought the dying art, because I found there are hardly any puppetry artists or performers right now. I mean, they're almost extinct in several parts of Tamil Nadu. But I think you have brought this tradition of puppetry very lively by bringing in the themes of common man. I really welcome that film precisely for that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. Yes. So, Hansa,
yeah.
Do you have any final comments?
No, it was wonderful. Yeah. Yes. And I think the inside of my head became a little hot speaking.
I think then it's time to stop.
No, in a good way. No, not like that. I think it's like, I think a good discussion is one which where things are asked of you and you find yourself able to say things which surprise you also. That's what I think. So then your brain
I understand.
That's a good thing. Yeah.
Okay. Yes. I think we have covered everybody. Lipika, do you have final comments?
No, no comments, but a question, maybe the last one, that what is Hansa doing right now? And can she tell us a little bit about the collaboration that she is doing with the theater and the dolls, and a bit the extension of doll making?
No, I think I've had the chance to also work with people who, with a theater group who works with traditional theater, like how Mr. Kili was talking about. And it's been instructive to listen to them also. Like, yes, they are still performing perhaps from the Ramayana and Mahabharat, but there is a lot of awareness of also the strength of their artistry, which is outside of the paradigm of how the audience is perceiving it. So yeah, I mean, one of the most exciting moments was in a session when one of the directors of this, Surbi Theatre from Hyderabad, one of the younger directors, he was talking about his craft, and he said that, look, we don't know what Krishna looks like or what so and so looks like, but there is a scriptwriter who wants the audience to be held. And it's a very strange thing of being able to talk of livelihood, market, caste, the fact that you're only allowed to play with these characters. And at the same time, that what is being put out there is really your imagination, your creation, your ability to interpret. So it just made me a bit quiet and thoughtful, because yes, I think that was that was a big moment for me. Other than that, yes, I'm always hoping to make a fiction film, and then I'm always doing something as a result. So I'm again in my hope of making a fiction film, which is a story about 3 girls, and I don't know what. I keep thinking, will it be with objects? But I'm trying to write. Yes, also, yeah, and three girls with very different access to education, and something like that. Yes, but I wanted to yield something like some fruits on the tree should appear, if not dolls. So yes. Yes. Thank you, everyone. It was a lovely discussion. Thank you.
There's one friend, Ms. Radha Mohini, who was there initially, but I think she left in between. She's just joined. We missed her. Radha Mohini, you have a comments question?
Yes, sorry, I think I missed out on a lot of the discussion, so I don't want to repeat anything, but I do want to congratulate Hansa and Francois and Milan for bringing this film to everybody, and congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you very much. So I think it's time to wind up
Thank
the
you
session.
very much, Amudhan. Thank you, Amudhan, not like for having a third screening, and every time it's been a lovely screening and discussion. Yeah, I think Francois wants to say something. Francois, were you saying something?
Yeah, I want to thank Amudhan also.
Yes.
No?
Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. That only. Thank you very much.
What I wanted to say, if you're interested, I have a web blog. It's enough to write my full name as it is appearing there. You add .blogspot.com, and there you will have the whole story, how it started, how people responded, the workshops, because I had also storytelling workshops with people making the dolls, and what the healing process that was going on in that. So, and also the books with all the poems, they are on Creative Commons, so you can make use of it for educational purposes. And so you're welcome to visit the web blog and to have further information if you're interested. So francoisbastis.blogspot.com.
So thank you all. So we, as I told in the beginning, so we are showing a particular film every weekend. So next week,
so once more, thanks to everybody.
This film will be on till tomorrow evening, 6 o'clock.
Appreciation and encouragement.
Thank you, friends.
Thank you so much, Amudhan, and thank you.
This film will be on till tomorrow evening, 6 p.m. So please share and invite others to watch the film also. And we will be showing another film next weekend. So I'll keep you posted. Thank you all.
Thanks
Have a nice Sunday. Be safe.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Happy Sunday.
Thanks a lot, Amudhan. Yeah.
Bye, Hansa. All the best.
Thank you, Françoise, so much for coming. Thank you.